And we're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Center Mass with Rob and Silent J. I'm Rob.
I am Silent J, and we got to find that fancy music, don't we?
It's in there somewhere.
There it is.
Two vets, two different worlds, one badass show. Center Mass with Rob and Silent J, blowing your mind away on the Vets on Media Network.
All right, I think we screwed that up. That's what happens when you take a hiatus for a couple of weeks. But yeah, it's speaking of the last couple of weeks, I mean, we may not have been here, but we've been pretty busy. Jay left the Army and moved.
Silent J from Center Mass with Rob and Silent J on behalf of my Rob. Yep, really must be here right now. There we go. Okay.
All right. Hey, we're par for the course. It wouldn't be this show if we weren't screwed up technically, right?
We're all good now.
But yeah, it's been a pretty crazy couple of weeks. So even though we haven't been here, we've been pretty busy. So Jay left the Army, moved, and he's in a different location now. You can tell by the backdrop it's a little bit fruitier than the green screen with the pictures of guys with guns on it was. But, you know, and he's got a soul patch. For those of you that aren't following us on Google Hangouts or YouTube and watching this live, Jay looks like a beatnik. I lost a little bit of respect for him now. He left the Army, is no longer carrying a gun, now has a soul patch and short hair, and like I am either a techno DJ or author or professor or hipster, glasses on, complete with sock hat. So before we get anything else, explain yourself, Jay, because you got some cool points to make up for.
Well, I just don't feel like shaving anymore, but I can't really grow facial hair that well. So this is about it. My mustache sucks.
Hold on, because you have a full. It's like your chin is a set of balls. Like you have a full-on soul patch and nothing anywhere else in your face. Are you telling me you're Joe Dirt, like genetically predisposed, instead of to look like a redneck, to look like a fucking beatnik?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I grow a few strands. Like I could grow some really shitty looking sideburns, chops, and then nothing in the center. I got the inverted Hitler mustache. So yeah, I stick with this. This is what I stick with. And,
yeah, you know, Onnit has some new like super testosterone products now that'll give you more testosterone. So I would suggest either locking yourself in a cave next time you want to grow some facial hair, and give it about 3 months until you get like full-on facial hair before you go out in public like that. Because I don't know about Buffalo, but like you show up in Texas, you're gonna get your ass kicked looking like that.
well, luckily for me, I would only go to either Brian's house or Austin, Texas, and I think I'd fit in Austin certain times of the year. But I don't like electronical music.
You would fit in Austin. Electronical music? You know, I worked my way through college as a DJ. I take offense to your statement.
I just don't like, what is it, ELM now? Is that what it's called? ELM? Electronic. That's like that's the genre term for it now. ELM.
I feel like an old man. Even when I did that when I was a DJ, it was funny to see. You ever see like Trekkies that like, you know, if they do something wrong in an episode or somebody says the wrong thing, they like get all bent out of shape. They're like, no, Spock was not carrying the taser with his left hand or whatever. Yeah. That's the way DJs are with like, if you call something techno and in reality it's drum and bass or trance, they'll be like, excuse me, that's not techno. No, that was trance. Don't you realize it had the hi-hat? Like,
see, that I don't know the difference between. I know the difference between dubstep and non-dubstep, but that's really the extent of my, I guess this knowledge of electronic music.
It's funny that you bring that up because like dubstep is one of these things that I never really knew exist. I guess it didn't exist when I was a DJ and when I was doing that, but I listen to dubstep when I write. Right? When I have to do anything that's like cerebral, I listen to dubstep because I think it's because my brain is like I'm a little insane, right? I am a little nuts. Anyone who's been listening to this for long enough knows that I'm definitely not normal. The chaos, I think that like the chaos that is involved in dubstep makes my creativity come out. Something weird about that because I'm like a very, I don't know, my day-to-day life I'm obviously very conservative, very like buttoned down. linear train of thought kind of guy. But when you're creative, it needs to be all over the place. You need to like summon all the creative juices and things like that. And something about dubstep, like forcing my brain to just go insane for a couple hours while I write. The best stuff I've ever written comes out while I'm just blaring dubstep on my headphones, and just like that logical part of my brain is like off in left field trying to figure out what the hell is going on with the music, and the creative side of my brain is like in heaven. It just lets me start going.
Yeah, I always see your stuff on social media, the music you're playing, and it shocked me. I always wonder, I'm like, did you forget to log out somewhere? So that okay.
No, I just love that stuff, man. I love it, and I'm a pleaser, right? So like right now, if anybody's watching, if you're on Google Hangouts and actually watching us do this live, you can see that I'm messing around in my kitchen. I'm actually cooking right now, and you still can't see, so I'm gonna put it up. I'm actually cooking right now because I got somebody coming over for dinner, and so I'm making. I thought it was. Well, no, I just had bad timing, but it works out that somebody's coming over for dinner, so I'm cooking. But that's a part of what I am. I'm a pleaser, right? So I like cooking because I like putting a lot of effort into something and seeing people happy, and so I'm the same way with music, I'm the same way with everything. So I'm that guy. They call me a fixer. Like if I find two people that each of them does something, or I think they get along really well, I'm that guy that I have to introduce them because I think they'd go well. I love cooking, so other people can try whatever I make and like it. Same with music. Like if I find music that I think my friends would like I have to share it. I'm that guy that I should be like, you got to listen to this tape, or you got to listen to this new album or whatever.
I'm the same way when it comes to music, comedy. I love to cook as well, or even a drink. Anything that interests me, I feel as if I should spread it. But where you think of yourself as a fixer, and a pleaser, I always think of it as nobody paid attention to me when I was younger, so I'm trying to get attention now.
That could be a part of it. That could be it. Who knows?
But yeah, the one thing I noticed with this facial hair growing in, the last time I grew out facial hair, this length on my chin, was quite some time ago. I have a lot of grays and whites in here.
Really?
Probably can't really tell from the lighting now, but yeah, where it's like, when the hell did this happen? Who took my pigment?
All right, so I've got to be, because we're friends, so I've got to be the guy that is, kind of a jerk here. It looks like you're a fucking beatnik, and you got gray and whites, and you still haven't shaved it. Why?
Because I don't have to. That's why. Because for the last because I quit my day job. For the last 10 years, every day for the last 10 years, other than an occasional Saturday or Sunday, I've shaved because of my day job, and I've cut my hair, and now I don't feel like it. I just don't feel like it. I didn't shave at all before, and then mustache had to go, and the baby chops had to go. So that was just driving me crazy. I'm like, my face itches. I don't like that. But I kind of enjoy this now because I was eating ice cream the other day, and I went to lick my bottom lip, and I found a little bit of ice cream that I missed. So,
you got the soup catcher.
Yeah, so that I enjoyed. Now I feel like I've caught up with every other man who's had facial hair for the last, 25 to 30,000 years.
Well, I tell you what, if you ever become a real boy and you start growing out the throat hair, I'm going to tell you right now, that's the most uncomfortable thing you'll ever feel in your life.
Oh, yeah, it grows. Yeah, I got the what is it? The snail trail on my throat. I get rid of that. I don't like that at all. Yeah. But that's it. I'm 35. There's no more connected dots with my facial hair. I'm going to, I don't know what I'm going to do. And testosterone maybe? I don't know. Either that or I'm going to do it like a skin mask. I'm going to go Buffalo Bill. So I'll just wear somebody else's face.
I remember...
what is it? Wild Horses. I'll do the tuck and dance to Wild Horses.
When I was in my... my dad was a pilot, so we had free plane tickets, and my godfather lived in Singapore. And so we'd go visit him every once in a while. I remember the first time I ever flew to visit him, you know, you have to take like 5 flights to get from Texas to Singapore. And I remember on one of these flights, I can't remember from where, but there was this big old fat Japanese guy. And he had basically your facial hair, but he had one hair coming out of his neck that must have been 6 inches long, like curly and just like... And I just remember I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and I spent hours on the plane just staring at it. And I hadn't had facial hair. I didn't know much about anything at that point, but even I, as an 8-year-old kid, was looking at this guy like, dude, what the hell is your problem? Just wrap that thing around a doorknob and slam it and get rid of it because you're making me uncomfortable. It's amazing how checked out people are in their own like personal hygiene. Just don't give a shit.
Yeah, see, well, I wash, and I'm not going to go to the extent that what Brian does. Brian from IronMikeMag.com. That's a nice, cheap, shameless plug. He's got that beard oil that he had a picture of it on Facebook.
Oh, that stuff's awesome. Yeah.
I'll never know. I'll never experience that unless I have a lot of expendable income, a large amount of expendable income, because there are facial hair transplants, and I seriously might do that if, you know, say I have an extra $10,000-$20,000 that I can glue to my face, basically. So yeah, I ever get rich, I'm getting the facial hair transplant. So, oh yeah.
There is something, I don't know if they have it out where you live. I don't spend a whole lot of money on myself. I don't really do much for myself. My whole, my whole plan, my life goal right now, I just want to make my kids millionaires before they're out of college. And until I hit that, like, I don't do anything, I don't spend anything on myself. There is one thing, that being said, that I will splurge on for myself, and that's Art of Shaving. Have you ever heard of Art of Shaving?
Yes, I have.
That shit is awesome. That shit is amazing. Not only their products, but you can go to an Art of Shaving store and get like a real old school, like Clint Eastwood straight razor shave and the whole 9 yards.
I saw that recently at a mall. I don't know. It's either in Pittsburgh or Buffalo, maybe. Yeah. I saw one of their stores. Yeah, it looked pretty cool. I had no business going in there.
Have you ever had a straight razor shave?
I used to have a barber when I was stationed in New York that would do a fade with the straight razor on your head.
No, I mean your face. It's a different thing on your face.
I got no reason to have a damn sickle on my face. So I have this facial hair on my face right now.
There was a place that I went to here in LA. I got it for like a birthday present because I liked Art of Shaving, but there's a place called Sweeney Todd's. After that, Johnny Depp movie and book, whatever. Art of Shaving's cool. It's in malls, and they cut your hair and shave your face, whatever. Sweeney Todd's, it was like this man's club place where you walk in, like they give you a bourbon, like you choose your drink. What would you like to drink? They've got like just gorgeous chicks walking around and not a lot of clothing. They've got your barbers are all guys and the stuff. They got sports playing on the TVs. They've got all the high-end booze you want to drink, so like really good, bourbon and scotch and things like that, cigars, the whole 9 yards. And you can sit down and they do the whole thing where they hot towel on the face and all that and all this great stuff, and you drinking your bourbon, and they have somebody that'll stand there with a fucking thing and hold it while you can't put it in your hand. Like if you're putting the hot towel on your face, you gotta relax. They'll have this dude just no, not a dude. That was where the hot skimpy clothed chicks are. They'll sit there with this thing, and you put your drink on the thing, and you're just like, yeah, this is why you want to be rich. This is why you work hard, because, man, was it relaxing. It was pretty cool.
I like that idea. And you know what? To vindicate myself, or maybe make myself a man again, since you just mentioned bourbon, I'm going to suggest a drink, and I know we've talked about this brand before in the past. Sazerac. Good drink right here, my friends.
I've had Sazerac. I didn't know Sazerac. I thought Sazerac's a type of drink, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they also make a rye, Sazerac rye. Since I'm back in New York State, our preferred method of bourbon is or whiskey is rye whiskey. So
wow.
There.
And so what's because I've read a couple of things that talk specifically about the difference between drinks. Can you explain to anybody listening what exactly is the difference between rye whiskey and regular whiskey?
Rye whiskey is at least 51% rye. Preferably, like if you get a cheap rye whiskey, like a Knob Creek rye or something to that effect, it's going to be like 51% rye. Something from like Sazerac or McClelland's, I think it's McClelland's, out of Central New York, or a couple of the rye whiskeys from New York itself. They're more like 70, 80, 90% rye, where you open up, like, here, I'll do it right now. You open up the bottle, it smells like rye bread. It smells like whiskey and rye bread.
So what does that do to the taste?
It makes it it's got a little more of a bite to it, a little more of a spiciness to it. It's really good. Rye whiskey is the preferred spirit for Manhattan. So,
right. I love Manhattans. I think I've talked about it before on the show. My grandpa, he just loved Manhattans. He was a big entertainer. Like, he started off, he went into World War II as like a E3 or something. He retired as a colonel, right? He retired as a colonel. He was a commandant of the Army Security Agency. So he's a spy hunter after World War II in Europe, and did a lot of crazy stuff. So he would entertain a lot, and anytime we would show up and go visit, he would have a pitcher of Manhattans. Just a pitcher, just chilled, already made, chilling in the fridge. And so as soon as we showed up, him and my dad would just start drinking Manhattans, like the whole family. Yeah, amazing. I love Manhattan.
That's my drink of choice. I like to make them one at a time, just because I like making the drink. If I drank more of them, or if I drank more, for that matter, I'd have a picture of it in my fridge, or if you were to come over, I'll have a picture of it for us. But I like to actually make it, put the vermouth in, put the rye in, and then the bitters. I just enjoy that. I'll do all that work just for one drink. I'll chill the cocktail glass, and I'll just have one, and that'll make my Friday night or Saturday night, just to sit there, watch something or read something or listen to something, and with the Manhattan in my hand. That's a great feeling as a man. I can't have a straight razor shave, but I sure can drink like a fucking man. So
have you ever done absinthe?
I thought you ever do acid? Why, yes, I did. Absinthe, I had it, but not the. I think I had one of the crappier kinds.
Was it from America or from Europe?
It was from America. I had never had European ones.
That's the whole thing. Like, you can tell how good and how authentic absinthe is by the wormwood content, and that's the thing about the absinthe in the United States. They can't put wormwood in it, so it's basically missing the essential ingredient for absinthe. But whenever you get some, that's being stationed in Germany, we got a lot from Prague and from Poland and stuff like that. So there's a lot of different kinds. They all have different strength, basically based on their wormwood content. But I had always thought absinthe was just you have a drink and you start tripping balls and turn Edgar Allan Poe. In reality, there's a really long, convoluted process to how you make a proper absinthe thing, where you get the spoon, you burn the sugar, you put it in there, you wash it out with something else, put ice in there, and all this other stuff. And it's a really cool thing. And absinthe, I never saw any Green Fairy, but wow, that is an experience. I mean, it's as close to ayahuasca, I think, as booze can get you, because it's wow.
I've always wanted to try. That's one of the last things on my list to try. Other than a couple Asian beverages, absinthe is definitely on my list, and I'd prefer to enjoy it over in Europe. So maybe somewhere in Prague or Poland.
When you say Asian beverages, do you mean soju? Have you never had soju?
Oh, I've had soju. I've had sake. There's a couple traditional things that I've wanted to try. One being from the Indonesia area. I forgot what it was called. And then there's a drink from the Philippines that I've had the American version of it, but not the Filipino version of it. So it's one of those things you have to be there to, you could have a Cuban cigar, but, the ones from America are, not Cuban cigars. They're knockoffs. So I've had the knockoff mojo.
Depends on what type of America, what part of America. That's funny. So, Philip, there's a Filipino. So my lady friend that is coming over tonight, she just happens to be Filipino, so she meets that like Asian female kind of requirement for my dating profile. But her family, she's from like the political ruling class of the Philippines. So she can probably get you some whatever you want. There.
Yeah, I had an ex. Her family was from up north.
Wait, your ex was Filipino?
An ex of mine.
4
years ago, 15 years.
I was gonna say we're friends. I didn't realize we were in the in that club together.
Oh, she ruined it. I'm out of that club. Crazy. Yeah. Listen, you ever jump out of a second-story window so you don't get stabbed by an Asian chick? Do you leave that club for good? Rob, you hold the fort.
I don't know. That might turn me on a little bit.
Well, yeah, it was hot until I landed. So, not so much.
Speaking of getting stabbed by Filipino chicks.
Yeah. Speaking of spreading goodwill, you had a little trip in Detroit with USA Cares, and we were going to link up together, but unfortunately, for extenuating circumstances, I could not make it to Detroit. How was that trip to Detroit, and how was the conference with USA Cares?
It was pretty cool, man. It really, it did some really good things for me. It did some really bad things for me. I'll start with the bad. So like in college, I had a motorcycle. I got in a really bad wreck, like 40 miles an hour. Somebody stopped at a T intersection, looked straight at me, and then pulled out like 10 feet in front of me. So I hit their car going 40 miles an hour. Got a lot of scars on me and stuff like that from it. So I haven't had a bike since then. I haven't had another motorcycle at all. And so there was a combination like this. Event that I went to was a charity ride, which meant there was a whole bunch of two different motorcycle clubs, the AmVets and the Leathernecks out of Michigan, that met up at this Harley dealership that sponsored part of the event and drove to the event. And then there's a charity
the barbecue.
What's that?
That explains the barbecue then. I was wondering.
Yeah, exactly. But then they had like a classic car show and stuff like that when we got to the event. And so when we showed up, I went to that Harley dealership like 8 a.m., kind of meet up with all the guys from USA Cares, all the sponsors, all these things like that. I felt a little less manly. Like I felt like I looked like a beatnik or something because I didn't have a motorcycle. And I was looking around that place, and I was joking around with the sponsors like, hey, man, I could really use a stocking stuffer. That V-Rod over there looks great. But it was that part, made me feel a little less manly. I think I'm going to probably be getting a bike soon because
I have one. Yeah, I have one.
Really?
Yeah, I got a 08 Super Glide Custom.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because this beatnik is a man. See, I throw you off with the facial hair and the clothes by the drink and the ride.
So you ride your bike to your what do you call it? Your open source poetry nights at
I was just going to say the open mic poetry night. Hell yeah.
Yeah, but it was, I don't know, it was great. It was a lot of fun. For me, anytime I get to do something for USA Cares is a good time. I really enjoy it. I got to go sit down. I haven't seen them in a while. I get to sit down with Peter Justy, who's the president of USA Cares. I got to talk to him about it. And one of the things that really blew my mind, I was putting this out on social media, when he started 2 years ago as president of USA Cares, they were getting around 200 requests for assistance. So if you don't know about USA Cares, what they do, they provide emergency financial assistance to veterans. So basically, if somebody's like getting their car repossessed or getting kicked out of their house or like emergency stuff, they'll basically swoop in. They respond within 48 hours, and they'll help. Like I've heard stories of them literally calling the tow truck driver that has a car up in the driveway ready to take it away and putting out a credit card so they don't take it. And it's a loan, so it's a grant, not a loan. So it never has to be paid back. They pay the lender, they don't pay the veteran. So just in case people out there are worried that somebody might take the money and do something else, they pay whoever the money is owed to specifically. So there's no other organization out there that does that. There's none. Nobody else does that. It's for when veterans are in real financial straits. They'll also pay for, and this is a really cool thing that they've started pretty recently. The job market sucks in most places. So let's say I'm in Los Angeles, and the only job interview I can get is in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And I can't afford to get there. They'll pay for me to fly there. They'll pay for my hotel. They'll pay for me to go there and do the job interview and then come home. And if I actually get the job, they'll help me with all the funds it'll take for me to actually move out there. A lot of really cool stuff. And when he started 2 years ago, there were about 200 requests for assistance a week. Now it's 400. So it's doubled in the last 2 years. And if you look at the idea that DOD has all these huge cuts, they're starting to furlough and fire a lot of veterans. They're starting to basically kick people out of the military. That need is going to skyrocket. I mean, it doubled in the last 2 years with nothing really changing. Imagine what's going to happen when all of a sudden all these people get fired from the military and the job market sucks and there's nowhere else when they go.
Yeah, no, trust me, I feel that. I have my letter. I'm peeking over at it. The VA saying no to my GI benefits. So it's another fight. But yeah, it's recently I'm on terminal leave right now. Being out, I could attest to civilian life now, where it's a lot different than the military, you know. And I could see where people run into trouble and things of that nature, or hard times. If anybody's a old wrestling fan, Dusty Rhodes from Texas, he spoke of hard times. A lot of people are going through those hard times right now, so a lot of them are veterans, and seeing the cuts in the military, it's just insane, insane with this whole tattoo policy. There's going to be a lot of guys.
Yeah, I have a buddy of mine, Mason, that I know on social media. Most of our conversation on social media, but he's out there in Pennsylvania or something like that. And he really wanted to go to the Guard, and so he was contacting me saying, "Hey, I think I'm gonna go to the Guard recruiter and do this." And I did what I do, and I asked him, a lot of questions like, "Is this really what you want to do? Are you 100% certain this is what you want to do?" And just kind of making sure he didn't just jump into it for the wrong reasons. And he did. He was going into it for all the right reasons. So I said, "Yeah, man, go for it." And they wouldn't allow him in because he has a forearm on his he has a tattoo on his forearm.
Oh yeah. Oh hey,
man.
These. Yeah. If I don't have my paperwork squared away by the RCCC up at Fort Drum before October 16th, which the guys at the RCCC, some type of reserve retention, going from active duty into the reserves. If I don't get everything squared away by October 16th and re-enlist by then for another 6 years into the reserve, so I can get my 20, because I'll be at 14 on October 16th. He goes, "You're gonna have to go through a recruiter." I spoke with the recruiter. Recruiter said, "You'll be barred from re-enlistment because of your tattoos."
All right, dude, I'm sorry. So anybody out there that takes this as an offense or politically correct or whatever, sorry, dude. But that's gayer than 10 guys blowing 20 guys. That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. That's a fucking military, right?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so I tell this story quite a bit. When I was a kid, I used to go to lacrosse camp in Annapolis. I go to the Naval Academy. I go up to Syracuse because I played lacrosse, and I have family on the East Coast, so I got to go do that. My great uncle, Uncle Hector, he was in the Marines in World War II, and then the Army for Vietnam and everything afterwards. So Marine Corps colonel, right? He was a guy. He would pick me up from the airport at 10 o'clock in the morning. We'd go straight to the VFW, drink Boilermakers, and smoke cigarettes, right? This guy had, and this was in the 80s and 90s. So this dude was in the military in World War II, so the 50s, 60s, all the way World War II through Afghanistan. He was in the ASA with my grandpa, all that good stuff. This dude, at that time, had sleeve tattoos from his shoulders all the way down to his fingers, because he was just as hard as coffin nails. Anybody that drinks Boilermakers, don't ever mess with that guy, because they will fuck you up, because they do not care.
Yeah.
He would drink Boilermakers and smoke unfiltered cigarettes, as me, getting ready to go to lacrosse camp, was just chilling there at the VFW watching. That is the dumbest shit in the world, because that's what our military is based on, is just pipe hitting mofos. There's this guy at 110 that I was with, I can't say his name, but people used to say that guy should be encased in glass and cryogenically frozen and there should be a sign above him that says, "In case of war, break glass." Right? And this dude had fucking all the way neck down. You ever seen From Dusk Till Dawn? George Clooney, like him, the tattoo goes from his neck all the way down and all the way out to his fingers and all the way down to his toes. That was this dude. But this dude was also like 6'6" and like 300 pounds, former college football linebacker. I don't want to say where, that'll give it away. But just like the guy that if you ever saw him in a bar and he was hitting on your girlfriend, you would go, I like my life and I like chewing solid food, and you'd let him have it, right? Like, he was that guy. And so the Army now is going to go, we don't want the toughest motherfucker we've ever met fighting for us in wars because, those tattoos aren't politically correct. You know what? Fuck that. I'm sorry, but...
And the thing is, like, here's my tattoo right here. I don't know if you can see it. It's 3 flames and 3 stars. It says Jre. It's Polish for the number 3. My 3 times over to the Middle East. You know what? You know why I got that? Because I survived. Because I was proud of my deployments, and I wear my time overseas, you know, like a badge of honor, like on my sleeve, literally on my sleeve. And then on the other side, I got a bullseye. Like, look, I literally have a bullseye. No one's got me yet. So
the thing that bothers me about that is the guy that I guarantee the guy or the committee or whatever that made that decision that said those would be illegal now has never been there. And if he's ever been there, it was in a very comfortable office within the green zone where he never got shot at.
Yeah, I bet he was the guy lobbing golf balls up on top of the palace. Like, isn't this beautiful?
I had a sergeant major. I literally had a sergeant major. This guy had a gun case. You know, we were all allowed to bring one gun case, and he put golf clubs in his gun case.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, ugh. And that's why I kind of get, like, you know, soldiers get a lot of leeway. There are some douchebags out there. There really are some douchebags out there.
I had whiskey in my guitar case.
I filled my body armor with bottles of vodka, right? So, hey, whatever you're going to do. But
and here's the thing. It's not like, and I'm not saying woe is me. I have a backup plan if the Army won't let me back in or if my paperwork doesn't get done in time, which with me, the ordeal I've had the last 8 months of doing Army paperwork, I'm not expecting that to happen. You know, I'm expecting, you know, a neon rainbow-colored moon rising tomorrow night. But my backup plan is...
Explain that one a little bit. I don't... What?
I'm saying, like, I have a month and a half for the Army to get this paperwork done correctly for me to re-enlist and not have a break in service of 1 day.
Yeah.
I've already dealt... It took me 8 months to out-process and get a DD-214, so I'd sooner see a neon rainbow moon rising tomorrow night than see this paperwork done in a month and a half. It's just...
Okay. Just so you can't say something like that to a Mason and not, like, explain the significance. Because I hear that and I go, like, neon moon, wait a minute, what does that mean? Is that... Yeah.
Have you ever seen a neon moon?
Yeah. There's a song about it. There's a country song about it.
Well, I don't know. I never saw
Travis Tritt. Look it up. It's a really good... Yeah. I've had carnal relations to that song.
Really?
I like that. Yeah.
I've had carnal relations to Bark at the Moon from Ozzy.
Yeah, I never really... I don't know. I slept with a girl at one time that told me to punch her. Like, and that's like, I'm very conservative. Like, I heard that, and for me, because so I got the duality. I'm conservative, but I'm also Italian, right? So, conservative, very like, and then Italian, like, well, whatever.
I've slept with a girl where I wanted to punch her afterwards.
Yeah.
What the hell? Why am I itching? Oh, you. Okay. But go back to the tattoos quick to wrap that up. I've been in for 14 very good years. I'm not a shitbag. I'm not overweight. I don't fail PT tests ever. My last time at the range, 38 out of 40. Not bad for a city guy that shot a gun one time before joining the Army.
While moving or static?
Well, I was laying there.
If you weren't moving, it doesn't count.
Listen, I could shoot and move. Trust me. Because I didn't want to die in the Middle East. I could definitely shoot and move. I tell you that much.
That's the thing that... All right, so I used to get really pissed off. When I was at Bragg, and like SF guys call Bragg the flagpole because there's so many douchebag flag officers there. I used to get really mad because like I would go ruck in the morning and I'd put in my headphones and I'd take off my hat and I'd go. Everything that I had was modified and all that, but I'd go do like a 30-mile ruck march in the morning just because. And I'd get these douchebags from like the 18th Airborne Corps, the 82nd, that would stop me and like start yelling at me for having headphones and go, "Hey, Big Sarge, train like you fight, train like you fight." And I go, "Oh yeah, asshole. Well, tell me about your range time yesterday. Like, you think your fighting is going to be laying down in the prone with somebody saying no brass, no ammo, drill sergeant? Like, really?"
Okay, to clarify that, everything that the Army has asked me to do, I've done exceptionally well. And that includes laying on my stomach, shooting. Not in real life. But yeah, I hate that when somebody's like, I've never been one of those guys in the Army. Maybe this is catching up to me. I see somebody fucking around and, not wearing the right uniform or wearing earphones. It's like, he might be enjoying himself. I'll let him go. I don't know what that guy's capable of doing. So, it's like trying to stop an SF guy and say, take your headphones out. I would never tell anybody to take their headphones out because they're enjoying music, and music's a great thing.
It is, especially when you think about it. Like when people go to the gym, what's your biggest motivation? Put your headphones in. It's your music. So like,
fuck that shit.
If I want to push myself harder, and like I know some guys get a hard on listening to C-130 rolling down the strip. I used to hate that. Like I'm a very internally motivated guy, right? Like I get demotivated by people trying to like artificially motivate me and like standing on the side and saying, "Hey, go Rob, you're on the last. Oh, well, do one more." I don't like that stuff because if it's not coming from me, it's not real, and I need it coming from me.
I don't know a single cadence when I've marched a formation and stuff. When I've had to march a formation, it's like, you know how to walk, you know how to step. Just do what I do. I'll tell you when to turn because you guys aren't smart enough to do that on your own. Or I was always famous for route step. Okay, let's go. Somebody important comes walking up, then kind of make me look good here. But yeah, I hate that fake motivation. I hate that stuff. For people that don't know what we're talking about, the Army is notorious for putting chumps in a position where they feel like they're greatness. It's like the guy, it's a bank teller. You take a bank teller, he's just a bank teller his whole life. You give that bank teller a gun for one afternoon and let him run around, guy's going to feel like Rambo. Well, the Army is full of those bank teller Rambos, where it's just like they feel. There was a guy at a unit, he was a fat guy, he was an NBC guy. He used to just scream at people. You'd be doing your sit-ups like, okay, I got 15 seconds, I'm trying to burn out and get 3, 4, 5, 6 more, whatever the case may be. He'd get right next to you and just start screaming at you, come on, one more, just screaming at you. This guy was on a permanent profile. Like, you fat ass, what the hell you tell? Why are you screaming in my face to do one more? You're spitting on me. I'm not going to want to sit back up if you're up there spitting in my face.
I think that's, most of our listeners from here, if you're on YouTube, if you're on, are watching our Google Hangouts, or if you're on Vets on Media, I think most of our listeners are veterans. But just in case there's somebody out there that isn't, one of the things you got to understand, the military used to be like Audie Murphy, right? So like my grandpa went from an E4 to second lieutenant on a battlefield commission in World War II, right? So that used to happen a lot, where somebody would be like, "Hey, I got brass balls and I'm harder than coffin nails and I'm a bad motherfucker," and the Army would go, "Yes, you need to get a field commission." That doesn't happen anymore, right? So no matter how badass you are, no matter how great or how tough you are, that doesn't matter anymore, right? So it's more about how long have you been around? Do you stick around long enough? You'll get promoted when you hit time in service. Mm-hmm. That's a very scary thing, especially when you look at right now, and that's a big thing that happened a couple weeks ago. It started coming out in the news. Officers downrange in Iraq and Afghanistan were getting pink slips. We're getting kicked out of the military downrange. And that's the crazy thing. So guys that aren't in the military don't get that, and people that have been in the military but might not have had combat deployments or might not get the bigger picture of it. What we're essentially doing is we're taking field officers, so we're taking majors and colonels, lieutenant colonels, who might have 0 combat experience, and we're leaving them in. But we're kicking out captains and majors who might have 5 or 6 combat deployments. So we're getting rid of these people that actually know how war works, and we're leaving these guys that have never been involved in war. Because if you look at our timeline, pre-Afghanistan, we had about a decade there with no real, we had some interventions, but we had no real force-on-force combat. So now we're essentially kicking everybody out of the military that knows real war, at least in the officer, like, planning strategic part of it, and that's scary. That's very, very scary, because we're just destroying people that actually have any real understanding of it. But that's the way. I mean, that's the military. That's just the way it goes. Like, if it makes sense, you just gotta throw that shit out the window.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. A couple days after I found out, listen, dude, if you're not re-enlisted by October 16th, you might not be able to get back in. I like the Army Times on Facebook, and I see their headlines, and they had an article about fat people, fat senior NCOs fudging the system so they could stay in.
And there's so many of those.
They're getting promoted. I'm just like, now that's the thing. I was basically told, dude, if you're gonna get 7. So I'm on the cusp of getting my E7. I might not be able to do it because I choose to enjoy tattoos. But you got some other guy that he's going to get his 8 that chooses to enjoy donuts. And it's like, how the fuck does that work out? I mean, how is that rational? How is that a good business practice? Let's not even think of, like, the fact that I'm maybe a little more, battlefield ready than some fat guy. I may have more experience than that fat guy. I may have, just a better head on my shoulders than that fat guy. Because if you're fat, no offense to the fat guys, I'm friends with a lot of fat guys, you're not the smartest person in the world because you react on indulgence and not thought. But so now you're gonna have the fat guy stay in. I don't know why, because down the road that's gonna cost you more for insurance. I mean, it's more of a liability. If you look at it just as you're a businessman, does this make any business sense? That guy's better off. He's gonna have a heart. I'm going to have a fucking heart attack right now thinking about it, but that guy's going to have a heart attack down the road and clog up the VA system. I go on road marches. I watch what I eat. I had fucking kale, tomato, raviolis today. That's healthy. Probably not as good as what you're making, but damn it, I take care of myself. I'm not a damn liability for the VA or the Army, and I can't stay in because I got some sexy-ass tattoos because I can't gain muscle mass, and I realized that because I don't have big ass muscles, I'm like, I'm going to cover up my skinniness with tattoos, and women like muscles and women like tattoos. I got the other one.
We got tattoos. I'll go with that. Okay, I can live with that.
Bastards. Fucking, I'm going to have a heart attack now. Think about it.
That's definitely an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, it's not a good business practice. It's not. There's a lot of businessmen out there listening. It's not good business. None.
Anytime you get the government involved, like, all business, all common sense goes out the window, right? So that's the biggest argument. And that's big government versus small government. Like, that's the biggest argument, because we go, obviously, like, private sector can figure everything out. Once you get the government involved, they will fuck it up because they're not spending their money; they're spending your money, and that's the difference.
Well, you need to be
a corporation is spending their money. A corporation runs out of money; they're done, they're broke, they're bankrupt, they're out of business. Government, they run out of money, they just raise your taxes, or they borrow, or they spin us into a hole. So it's
print more.
Yeah, print more. Fuck it, print more. And I had, I'm studying for my Series 65 exam right now. That means, like, so I have my life and health license. I got my Series 6, my Series 63, which means I can put people in, like, mutual funds. I do 401ks and Roth IRAs and all that good stuff. My Series 65 means I will be like a institutional money manager. I can actively manage people's money and, like, large corporate accounts and things like that. And that's one of the things that we're actually going over. You got to go over a lot of, which is just, it's very lucky that I have a business degree already, because you go over a lot of very larger economic principles. Mm-hmm. And so we were talking about weak dollar versus strong dollar yesterday, and talking about the economic implications of that. And it's very interesting. And I started thinking the way my brain works, like, is this all being done on purpose? Because in reality, if we have a weak dollar, that means we'll buy more imports. If we have a strong dollar, we won't buy it because it'll cost more to buy something from China or Japan if the dollar is stronger, because that means it will cost more and all these other good things. So part of me started going, is this all some like diabolical genius plan that a lot of people, like my dad watches Fox News 24 hours a damn day, loves it fully. He's this red-blooded conservative. Whenever I mention that I'm libertarian, he loses his damn mind, right? Aren't you a Christian, goddammit? Well, no, I'm not a Christian. I'm a Mason. I believe in everything. But he loses his mind. But I think I really, like, a big part of me now going through this, like, a lot of parts of my life that I really, really like because I'm into everything. Until you prove that something doesn't wrong, like I'll entertain anything until you can prove to me that it's wrong, right? Because there's a lot of holes in Christianity, a lot of holes in Judaism, a lot of holes in Islam. There's a lot of holes everywhere. So prove to me that it's wrong, and then I'll entertain that. But I'll entertain anything until you prove to me it's wrong. Because but whatever. And so that's something that I was really, really like thinking about. Like, is this all some kind of diabolical plan to just make a weaker dollar so it enhances global commerce? I don't know, man. It's crazy. I can't stop. I cannot stop my brain from going at 1,000,000 miles a minute. And unfortunately, it's involved in all these other things. And like I've been saying a lot over the last few weeks, like somebody hurry up and invent the cloning machine, like Michael Douglas or whatever from Multiplicity, like. I need 5 of me. I don't care if one's half retarded. I need 5 of me. And I'll be like, you go study esoteric stuff. You go look at conspiracy theories. You everything about economics. You this. I'm going to go bang Asian chicks. Because that's what I want to do. But I need a bunch of other
clones. I got a question. Being I'm the average guy when it comes to finances, the understanding of markets and financing and things of that nature. I just watched the clip last night. It was like on the Smithsonian channel or something like that, about the gold standard. I've heard a bunch of stuff about the gold standard. Where would we be as a nation today if we still had our dollar, backed up by gold?
Dude, shit. Do you really want to get into this?
Let's do the quick one. Would it be good? Would we have what we have now, or I just don't know.
Ask China in 2 years. So China is the largest purchaser of actual bullion gold right now, and that's the big talk between all the financial analysts right now in the world. Is that the contrarian financial analysts? So there's like typical financial analysts that basically follow the lockstep of whatever the government puts out. There's a thing called contrarian investing, where they basically understand the government is full of shit, and so they don't follow what the government has to say. And they do their own research around the world and things like that. Most contrarian investors right now are saying, China this is verifiable, you don't have to believe me, you can look it up for yourself. China's been the largest purchaser of gold bullion for the last several years in the entire world. A lot of people believe they're going to put the yen on the gold standard and then try to create the yen as the global currency, the global reserve currency, which means we're fucked. Because we don't make anything anymore, we don't do anything anymore. The only reason that we are a powerhouse economically is because the dollar is the gold standard, the dollar, the petrodollar is used to trade oil. China no longer uses the petrodollar. China and Australia no longer use the dollar as reserve currency. China and Russia no longer use the dollar as reserve currency. So a lot of large superpowers economically and militarily and around the globe are no longer using that. Now, you get into the conspiracy theory, so this will tie into our conspiracy theory of the day. Any country in history that has gone away from the dollar as the global reserve currency has been invaded within 2 months. Look that shit up. Don't just take that for granted. So let's see what happens with Russia and China. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, so the gold standard. If we had maintained the gold standard, we'd at least be on a lot more solidarity. But that's the thing about America. Like America. All together is an experiment, and people forget that. People forget that America really is. It's the greatest social experiment known to man. It is an experiment. We went away from the way that things were ever done.
Well, I hope I read before we get a D- in this experiment.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. It was done. I'm going to be crucified for saying this, but it was going really well while Freemasons were in charge. Now all of a sudden, Masons, because as much as bullshit is out there, Obama is not a Freemason. Clinton was not a Freemason. Bush was not a Freemason. There's a lot of BS out there about them. But if you look at the guys that were Masons, they did pretty well for this country. And once they got out, Roosevelt was the last Mason that I know. Once they got out, it kind of went to shit.
No. Was it LBJ? I don't know.
That's contestable. I don't know. My lodge, we got a thing with Roosevelt in our lodge because he was actually from. I think it was from our lodge.
Oh, okay. He was. Are you talking about Teddy or the crippled?
Sorry, is it Roosevelt? Yeah, no, it was Roosevelt. Teddy.
Oh, okay. He was sworn in as president of the United States a couple miles from where I am right now.
Really?
Yeah, he was sworn in Buffalo, New York, after what's-his-nuts was killed. Was it Fillmore? Millard Fillmore? No. Fillmore? McKinley. That's what it was. When McKinley was shot. He was shot at the Pan American Expo and in Buffalo, and that's when where Buffalo got its nickname, Don't Go Here as a President. No, our City of Lights, because during the Pan Am Expo, they wired everything with electricity for light bulbs.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so cool. And then some guy from Slovakia killed McKinley. So Teddy Roosevelt was on a hunting trip, and they rushed him to Buffalo, and he was sworn in at a mansion on Delaware Avenue. So if you're ever in the Buffalo area, go to Delaware Avenue because it's really cool. It's like Millionaires Row or Mansion Row, these big old freaking mansions. Really, really, really nice. And that's where our last great badass president was sworn in.
You know what? All right, so Teddy Roosevelt was Rough Riders. Franklin D. Roosevelt was... Right, it's Franklin D. Roosevelt.
Well, they both rode. One rode a horse, the other one rode a wheelchair. Yeah, so...
And got stuck in the bathtub in the old...
That was Taft. That was Teddy Roosevelt. That was Teddy Roosevelt's homeboy until he ran against him. I am a presidential expert.
Yeah. You were the one that talked about... No, was that Robert Johnson that talked about... It was one of the Roosevelt's wife being a big lesbian, right?
Franklin Roosevelt's wife was a dyke. She had the lesbian house, and they had a telephone, so they could crank it up, and they're like, "Hey, psst, the guys are coming, so you gotta scatter your chicks, get rid of them." So she invented the Red Cross and scissors. It's crazy. It's crazy how these things tie into each other. And Nancy Reagan invented the one-sided bra. So I mean, a lot of history tonight, folks.
There's a one-sided bra. What do you mean one-sided bra?
She had a mastectomy.
Oh man, yeah, so did my mom. That's
You know what? Who else? Who was the one that the one that had the mastectomy before cancer? Angelina Jolie.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy. Why would you do that? She was hot, so hot.
Yeah, well, she's still hot. Hey,
now she looked at me from the belly button up to the neck.
My theory, and because my wife had fake tits, and I paid for them, if I can see them and touch them and play with them, they're real, right? So that's the way that I see it.
That's true.
Because that's we
got a couple minutes left.
Yeah.
I want to talk about one quick thing before we get to Scatterbrain and the presidential lesbians and Freemasonry.
Can't promise anything. Presidential lesbians is just the talk of the town.
Yeah, it is. I'll take Barack Obama for 200, please, Alex. He's a freaking chick. I went on this road march last week. I was watching this ice bucket challenge thing, and it kind of frustrated me a little bit because I know a lot of my friends. I come from a lower stock. I would be sweeping streets in India if I was in a social class. I saw a lot of my friends do it that I'm like, I know they wouldn't donate. And then I saw my family. I'm like, I definitely know this person donated. I definitely know this person donated to the ALS Foundation. So I thought, like, people, one of two things with that ice bucket challenge. Either it brought out the best in people, meaning time, energy, awareness, money for a foundation, or it brought out the worst in people. Just being a viral sensation on social media, getting their 15 seconds of fame, or trying to one up their friend. And I wanted to go on this USA Cares thing and watch Rob in action, but I could not. So what I did was I went on a road march. It was for a charity. It was called the KIA something in Buffalo. It was started by a sergeant major who he had a buddy of his was killed in either Iraq or Afghanistan. And so this is what this guy did was put a 10K road march through one of our area parks together, and you road march, you ruck it with perishable food on your back, canned food for charity, for veterans in need, and all the money goes to this foundation. And the cool thing for me was I was watching all these people dump ice on their head, dump water on their head, and I know damn well some of my friends like, you don't have 2 pennies to put together, I know you're not donating. You're just doing this for fun. It's just yay, 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 look at me. So I'm like, I want to do something that's going to challenge me to where I feel good about myself and I feel like I'm helping somebody. So I donated. I did a ruck. I kind of guesstimated wrong. I did a ruck with almost 70 pounds of canned food on my back, which is uncomfortable when cans of food shift in your rucksack. You don't realize, like, okay, this is going to be bouncing around. I should maybe strap this stuff down. So I had basically 70 pounds of fucking canned food resting on my tailbone. And so I did this 10K road march. The cool thing was, which I didn't realize, was they had every X amount of feet, they had a sign with the name for a New York State veteran who had passed away in Iraq and Afghanistan. And it kind of choked me up a little bit when I saw some of my buddies on there. A few of them on there that I saw their names. And it said, the tagline on each one, it had the individual's name and rank and dog tags on there. And then it said, the pain is in your mind and on your back. And that's what, kept me going, because it's like, as I'm walking, I'm realizing there's about 5,000 idiots just dumping water on their head for the fuck of it. For no other reason. They're not spreading awareness. They're not giving money to the ALS Foundation or anything like that. They're just dumping water on their head. So I'm like, I'm going to actually, hurt, to help. I felt good. I got, Rob and I talked before the show, I got my first blister ever. This is after years of grueling sports, playing soccer mostly and a couple years of football and running cross country, track. My school, I went to the ghetto, all right? We didn't have lacrosse.
Just lie and throw boxing or MMA in there, like glass, tape on my hands, broken glass fighting or something.
I did fight too. Like I said, I was a skinny white kid with a big mouth, and I went to school in the ghetto. I got plenty of fights under my belt, all amateur ranked. Okay, I got some good scrap time under my belt. But I felt good afterwards. Damn, did my feet hurt because I wore the wrong boots and they just rubbed on my heels the entire time, which kind of pissed me off because I felt like a sissy afterwards because I had a certain time set in my head and I didn't meet that time. But I felt good because, I don't know, Rob, I'm sure you do this. You're a charitable guy. You're a helpful guy. You ever do something that this is going to help somebody? Like your actions are actually going to affect and help somebody. The money that I spent on that food, the money that I gave to this charity, and then the food that I donated, I knew it was going to help. So it was worth the sweating and the stupid blisters and just the uncomfortableness of having, a bunch of cans of food on your back. I just felt good afterwards. Probably more so than what I would have just by dumping a bucket of water on my head and not giving money. I understand people dump water on their heads and give money. That's cool. But have you ever felt it where it's like, I feel good? I know I'm going to help somebody.
Yeah, and there's a really big part of that, and that's so. That was the biggest thing when I wrote "Love Me When I'm Gone." That was a big thing for me. I wanted it to be a lot more than just a book, and so you find out after you write your first book that nobody gets rich off their first book. But I'm very glad that I aligned myself with something that I really cared about. And for me, it was veterans, because my mom died of breast cancer, but there's probably 50 different breast cancer organizations out there. So, like, they got it. You know, they've got some stuff, but you know, veterans. I mean, there's a lot of different organizations, but you know, as I did my research, not many that actually fucking help.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them out there, but not a lot of them that actually help anything. You know, and that's. I know it sounds crazy to most people who haven't done a lot of research, but look into them. Like, most of them really do not do anything to help veterans. Anderson Cooper had a thing 2 or 3 years ago called Vets Wanted, ? And he did that. He actually went around to a lot of these companies that say they're very veteran friendly and saw, you know, if they help. And so on that note, last week I was with the vice president of Nationwide Financial, so Nationwide is on your side. Yeah. And I cornered him because he said something about Nationwide being pro-veteran, and I fucking cornered him, and I kind of bowed up on him. I was like, all right, so you mentioned this in your little talk to my office, and you said you're very veteran-friendly. How are you veteran-friendly? And I kind of did the finger-in-the-face thing. And went, well, we have a pledge to hire 1,000 veterans in the next 12 months. And I went, really? Are you fucking with me? And he went, no. And so I was like, all right. I put it out on LinkedIn and Facebook immediately.
Sometimes you can't corner CEOs like that.
I make Nationwide a lot of money, so I'm good.
Okay.
They'll deal.
I was gonna say, you know, there was a few years ago I was gonna give to a couple charities. I wanted to give to breast cancer because I had a very close friend of mine. It actually was an ex-girlfriend who was dying of breast cancer, and I wanted to give. And then that was the same time my grandmother passed away from basically Parkinson's disease. I mean, she was also elderly, but Parkinson's disease. So there were two charities that were, you know, two causes that I wanted to give to. And I looked, I'm like, my due diligence, I want to look into, I don't want to waste my money. The first 5 charities I found for breast cancer, bullshit. And the ones for Parkinson's, it was even worse because, you know, breast cancer is a big one. The NFL's got that thing with with the wear pink, all that stuff. That's probably the most marketable.
Here's the thing:
cancer.
Wear pink is for Susan B. Komen, and Susan B. Komen gives very small amount of their money actually to help people.
Yeah, and I did not donate to that foundation. I end up giving to a local one. It's like this actually helps. And it didn't help with awareness or research or anything like that. It just helped local women. It was for single mothers with breast cancer in the area, and that money went to help them out. Do what they wish with the money. That's a lot better than giving to a corporation, a fake charity.
Yeah,
and that's just my own words.
Well, no, it's reality, and that's unfortunately a lot of people kind of capitalize on that idea that Americans want to give. America. So if people out there listening don't listen to Dennis Prager, I number one highly suggest you do. Dennis Prager is a very smart man, has some great things, and that's one thing he commonly brings up. As much shit as people talk about America, America is the largest giving nation several times over out of the rest of the world. So if America stopped giving, most charities that help everything from Africa to Eastern Europe to South America would cease to exist. Those almost solely exist because of American donations. So that's a very important thing. Now, the flip side of that is there's a lot of people in America who are just unscrupulous sons of bitches, and they will take advantage of that. And so, like, the Army has that CPC or whatever program where every year they come out and they say, what do you want to donate to? It comes straight out of your paycheck and all this other stuff. And that's one of the things that Anderson Cooper did. And God, he's not just a sexy motherfucker, but he's a great person, old dreamy blue eyes, whatever. Yeah. And again, I hold straight. If I was ever going to go to gay, if like I ever saw Anderson Cooper after 1 or 2 bourbons in a bar, I would let him take me and use me like a little ragdoll, right? Because those are some dreamy eyes.
Yeah, he is. I'm with you on that one. I look at that guy, I'm like, why can't I have a head of hair like that? Like,
the hair, eyes, just the chiseled thing, and how many fucking hours do I have to run on the treadmill to get that kind of cheek structure, man? I don't know.
Go to Liberia for a while. You'll lose some weight. You'll get that cheek structure.
All right, so sexiness aside, it was a very good program because he talks about that. They're like there was one of these organizations that's owned by this woman that was like I don't know what she was, but very high up in the VA in the area she was in, and she started this organization where they were bringing in like $10 million a year. So at the same time, they would solicit monetary donations from people to, hey, like donate money, but they would also solicit corporations to give free stuff. And so they would keep 100% of the money and just give this free like bullshit, like Tic Tacs and like floss and just stupid shit that they got from corporations, and they'd send that to soldiers and keep $10 million a year in cash.
Oh yeah, that was
like
worst.
So that's retarded.
Yeah, I want.
There is a thing called the Charity Navigator. There's a website called charitynavigator.com you can go check out. You go to charitynavigator.com, put in the name of the charity, it'll tell you exactly what their breakdown is. How much money goes to administration, how much goes to fundraising, how much actually goes to the veterans or whatever charity it is. With USA Cares, 12% goes to fundraising, 8% goes to administration. When I sat down with them, they were telling me that people within their organization are going on furlough. Like they did an optional, like they chose within themselves to go and furlough because they want more money to go to veterans, and they doubled the amount of requests they're getting for emergency assistance. So instead of not being able to help veterans, they chose to, hey, you know what, pay me less money. How many times do you hear that?
Yeah.
How many times do you hear that? You will never, I guarantee you go to Microsoft and you go to one of their employees and go, hey guys, Microsoft's not doing too well right now. We need some extra money. Can you take a day off? And they'll go, fuck you, I'm going to talk to my union. That's a really cool thing about USA Cares, that their employees, of their own accord, said, you know what, pay us less money. Take 1 day a week off our paycheck, and we'll give it to extra veterans. Like, that's fucking awesome. That is awesome, and that's why I love this organization so much, and that's why, you know, it's funny. What I do, I'm a financial advisor. Like, I make a fuckload of money every hour. Like, that's... I sit down with somebody, if I do I can't talk specifics, but I make a lot of money doing that, right? I make a lot more money than books or anything else. When USA Cares contacts me and says, will you come out and speak at this event, I clear my schedule. I call my assistant immediately and just say, clear my schedule, I'm there, because I believe in them. And I'm shit, but like Dennis Miller, James Rollins, all these other people, they do the same thing. And you got to, you know, look at who you're looking at. So like Wounded Warrior, they have some really big, high-profile celebrities that they pay a fuckload of money. 50% of their money goes to fundraising because they have to pay every celebrity that endorses them because they're shit. They don't really do a lot.
You know what? That the Tough Mudder gives money to Wounded Warrior Project Foundation, whatever the hell it is. Project. That's a lot of money. That is a ton. That is a huge money generator. That's the thing that shocked me with all these charitable organizations, how much they put into fundraising as opposed to what they're actually meant for. Like the one big ALS one, ALSC or ALSA, whatever the heck it is. I saw a breakdown online. 7% goes to research, 10% goes to salaries, 17% goes to basically making more money, fundraising, things like that. It's like, why do you need that? Yeah, I just, you know.
Because it essentially is just a money churning machine. So, and this is conspiracy theory, but this is coming from a Freemason MBA that's working on his Series 65. So I know a lot about money, business, and government and the economics. Unfortunately, as the economy turned to shit, a lot of high-level executives lost their jobs. They're the first people to get fired. The people making $2-3 million a year, first people to get fired. That's just the way life works. So they get fired, they don't have anything else, but oh, wait a minute, there's 2 wars going on. Hey, I know what I can do. I'll be a C-suite level executive for a charity. And oh, I can pay myself $1 million a year. And you know what? We'll get my buddy Kenny Chesney or Tony, fucking one of these guys, to come over, and we'll pay him $1 million a year. And you know what? He's got such a big reach. He can get all these people involved, and they'll give money out of their, 80-year-old grandmas on a fixed income. They'll give $100 a month to my charity because I'm putting the name Warrior in it. They obviously think it's a good one. And I can pad my salary and pad my resume at the same time and not have to pay taxes because I'm a C-suite level individual for a 501(c)(3) charity. And it's fucking disgusting. But that's the way, unfortunately, that's the way life works. That's the way it is. And I just, all of you out there, if you give to a charity just because of the name and you haven't done your research, do your homework, please, right now. Go do your homework. If anything, if you get anything from the show, just do your homework. Charity Navigator. Go to Charity Navigator. Find out how much whatever organization you give your money to spends on the actual prospect of their organization. So if it says Wounded Warrior, how much money actually goes to Wounded Warriors? If it has the name Hero or something else in there, find out how much money actually goes to them and how much goes to their executives. Just do a quick check. Doesn't take long.
Do what my grandmother did. The one who passed away from what is it? The Parkinson's. She gave like a bag or two of groceries a week to the church, and she volunteered her time at the soup kitchen. She didn't have any money. My grandfather passed away in the 60s. She did very fixed income, for forever after my grandfather passed away in a shipping accident. She gave, not only did she give her, money and food, she also gave her time and energy. If you don't want to donate to a charity, a big charity, go to a damn soup kitchen, And if you want to help veterans, go to a soup kitchen, because I guarantee you at least 1 out of 4 of the homeless or extremely impoverished that go through that line for a free meal, probably a veteran. So
isn't that a fucking shame? That's a shame. And that's so. Speaking of which, before because we gotta.
Yeah, once a month I'm going and I'm gonna volunteer my time at a soup kitchen.
Well, we gotta log off here in a moment, but I know because it's just clicked for me. You're on the Upper East Coast.
Yep.
One of the companies that I met when I was in Detroit is called Roush Automotive. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but if you follow me on LinkedIn, Robert Patrick Lewis or Robert P. Lewis or something on LinkedIn, find me, the picture of my asshole smile on Fox News. That's me. So this guy, after I did my little speech and all my little stuff, he came up to me. He works for Roush Automotive, this VIP, Veteran Incentive Program, whatever. Roush has a thing right now. They're hiring, I think it's like 100 or 500 veterans. If you're anywhere on the East Coast or in that Michigan area, they don't care. And here's the caveat. A lot of other companies go, yeah, we're hiring veterans, but you have to fit a very specific, like, I blew colonels on Thursdays kind of mentality. Roush Automotive is saying, we don't care. If you were in the military and you need a job, we will hire you, we will train you, we will pay for you to come out here and do the interview, everything. So their only stipulation is that I served in the military, and they will give you a job. So look them up. I put it on my Facebook, I put it on Twitter, I put it on LinkedIn, and everything else. It should be on their website by now, roshautomotive.com or rosh.com in their automotive division. But essentially, just the fact that you're a veteran, they will train you and they will give you a job. They just want to hire veterans, which is awesome. So go check that out. Look through my feed and you can find exactly what I posted about them. And you can find, I put a link to their website, the whole 9 yards. But if you're up there, Michigan is where all their plants are. So if you can get up there and do that, that's awesome. I mean, that's right on, man. That's an easy job. So get on it. Go do it.
Do your thing. Do your time. Help out. And a couple quick plugs. Check out VetsOnMedia.com for the show listing for all the shows like Center Mass with Rob and Silent J, Tactical 16 with Silent J, which will be making its return Wednesday, and all the other ones. Adam and James' Vets On Wednesday morning, and all the ones that don't ever give us any plugs to you guys. And Tactical16.com. We got some really good projects coming up. Some we're going to pound your brains with books that are going to be coming out in the next year. Some different ones too, and maybe a movie project. Actually, a movie project. I don't know what level it's going to be, but we're going to be coming out with a movie. And give to a good charity. Help out your fellow veteran. Help out your fellow neighbor. And all that good stuff, and be a Teddy Roosevelt. Don't be a Franklin Roosevelt.
There you go. So, so I forgot to make that announcement. So I got in with somehow somebody here got a copy of my book, and they just happened to work for one of the largest, most powerful talent agencies in Los Angeles. So they are now shopping the book around for movie rights to different studios.
Can I play you in the movie?
Unfortunately, it's going to have to be Marky Mark. I don't know. I don't like the guy.
Right. But, that's fine. But if I grow more facial hair, can I be one of the guys you shot?
You got to be able to go, very well. Can you do that?
Well, you know what? At the end of this week, I will, because Silent J's very first day of college is in 2 days.
Good luck. Good luck.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that next week. That fucking prick professor making me buy his book. We're gonna talk about that.
I just bought one. Look, hey, one of mine just arrived. This is one of mine just arrived. So yeah, that's
I got one. My laptop's actually setting on it right now, and then I got a mass media one, which I'm looking forward to doing that class, but not the other ones. Screw English.
So you are now officially in college, and I am officially single. So please send me pictures of butts. Please.
Here's my class schedule. Look, nowhere does it say paid by the VA. Pricks. Anyway, we'll be back next week with a whole lot of cool stories with Single Rob and College Silent J.
Yes, sir. All right, so everybody out there, please remember, don't fire unless fired upon. Stand your ground, but if they mean to have a war, then let it begin here. This has been Cinemaster Rob and Silent J. I'm Rob.
I am Silent J.
Peace out, bitches.